Jose Bahamonde's business is death. He's a coffin maker in Ribadavia in Galicia in the northwest of Spain. He took over the family company, which was set up in the 1950s.
I was born into this. My grandfather ran the company first, and now I run it.
Business has never been so good. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused many more deaths than usual. All of a sudden, there was a huge demand, and they could barely keep up.
Of course, we worked more, much more, and the conditions were worse. We had to work really fast to make the coffins. They weren't as perfect as they would have been in normal circumstances.
And it's not that they didn't have experience. With plenty of forest and therefore wood, this area once supplied coffins to the whole country, earning quite a reputation. Pilar Chow's great-grandfather was the first Spaniard to set up an assembly line in a coffin factory. That was 110 years ago, not long before the First World War broke out, and then the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918. Terrible times, but good for business.
Many people died of the Spanish flu here and all over the world. In such times, like now of course, there was huge demand, but then all of a sudden there was no more major need for coffins.
These days, the Chow family's last factory is no longer in operation. This is also the case for most of the other coffin businesses in Ribadavia. These days, most coffins come from China, a development Jose Bahamonde is very unhappy about.
The biggest problem is the imports, and in our case, it's the attitude of undertakers and people generally. Everyone's looking out for their money, so everyone buys cheap goods from China.
Javier Rodriguez is also a victim of this development. He took over his father's sawmill 12 years ago. Many of the pinewood planks made here used to go to the local coffin makers.
Half of our planks used to go to coffins, but now it's about 10%. The coffin makers are now using other wood.
And the makers are also importing wood from elsewhere. Jose Luis Gonzalez is the president of the Association of Galician Coffin Manufacturers and also the mayor of Piñor, which is not far from Ribadavia. There are still 9 coffin factories here. He says that one reason why pine wood is no longer in demand is because the fashion has changed. Coffins used to be rectangular, but now rounded ones are more in demand.
If we were to produce rectangular coffins again, we could use wood from the region. I would be in favour. This would not only help us, but also the sawmills.
He also thinks that the COVID-19 crisis has shown how important it is to be less dependent on imports from abroad. This is not only true for masks and ventilators, but also coffins. He's sure that customers are going to start thinking differently.
The undertakers will understand that it's better to buy our Spanish coffins. When the borders closed and there were fewer coffins coming from abroad, we are the ones who work day and night to meet the high demand.
Jose Bahamonde is not so certain. He's also an undertaker, not only a coffin maker. And he says that his customers' first priority is the price. He doesn't think that the current crisis will have a long-lasting impact.
We'll see how long this all lasts. At the moment, we're all very sensitive and aware. But will we still think this way in 6 months? That would be good.
But the problem is not only China and globalization. coffins are also not great for a town's image. Once known for its coffin production all over the country, these days Ribadavia is hoping to earn more of a reputation for its wine than for death.